Only a super empath can break a narcissist. I categorize empaths into 4 groups: standard, codependent, super, and contagion. It is rare for an individual to belong to one school entirely. More usually, they have at least one other constituent part, sometimes 4 in total. Unsurprisingly, I am often met by people who say, HG, I'm a super empath. Well, you might be right, but the empath detector test will tell us whether that is accurate or not. And sometimes those people turn out to be right about who they are. But more often, it is a misguided and misunderstood application, a desire born out of to appear a little more than the individual is. Not in a narcissistic way, but a sense of feeling that having endured the behaviour of the narcissist and come out the other side, and well done for doing so, they believe that they're a super empath. Well, all empaths can achieve that, not just ones which are majority super empath or have a minority element with their school that appertains to super. More often, mid-range narcissists come along and they claim that they're the super empath. Of course, the idea of being super appeals to their grandiosity, the idea that is formed in their mind that the super empath is some kind of superhero that triumphs against the narcissist, against all of the odds, that somehow brings the narcissist crashing down to the ground with much wailing and gnashing of teeth. Those unaware mid-range narcissists are the ones that tell people that you can defeat the narcissist by going toe-to-toe with the narcissist, failing to understand that all you're doing is providing fuel, exposing yourself to an adverse consequence, and of course increasing the already rampant emotional thinking, where the individual is an empath. A cool-headed, logic-applying empath knows GOSO is the answer. But that doesn't fit, does it? That doesn't fit with the supposed brilliance of this mid-range narcissist who says, I don't run away, even though, of course, they're a shrivelly walnut bald coward. No. They want to think of themselves as a thrusting and dynamic superhero that has taken on the evil narcissist and broke him. The fact is that those who are super empaths, and they are numerous, although they are amongst the rare category of empath, certainly with regard to majority. Many people will have a minority element that's super, but majority super empaths are rare. The fact remains that they don't break the narcissist because that is not how their super empath qualities manifest. The super empath is an individual who realizes at an earlier juncture than other empaths that something is not right, that something is not appropriate, and yes, they will put up a fight against the narcissist, not for the purposes of trying to break the narcissist, not for the purposes of making the narcissist run away. The narcissist is not afraid of the super empath. What the narcissist experiences is a threat to the control, and that is what the narcissist responds to. No, a super empath utilizes those super empathic traits for the purposes of defending themselves. They don't behave in an offensive way. So when the devaluing behavior of the narcissist starts, they will of course experience and absorb some of it to begin with. Because their emotional thinking is high, they don't necessarily realize that they're dealing with a narcissist. But at a sooner point than other empathic individuals, they will say, enough. And they will fight back. Not, as I say, to try and bring down the narcissist, but they will fight back to defend themselves, to prevent themselves being pushed back, and back. They will defend themselves in terms of drawing a line in the sand. Like Gandalf, they stand there and shall say, you shall not pass. Their role is not to go on the offensive towards the narcissist whether it's lesser, mid-range, greater, or ultra, but rather to stand their ground. Their makeup of empathic traits is such that they generally have strong narcissistic ones, but also stronger empathic ones. And when they are subjected to the eroding influence caused by the abuse that they are sustaining at the hands of the narcissist, their narcissistic traits of pride, for example, argumentativeness, come to the fore. Their empathic trait of justice shines. So they say, I will argue the position in order to assert that I know that I am right. Of course, they will still fall foul to emotional thinking and will continue to argue in circumstances where they ought to withdraw. But they do not roll over in the same way as other empaths may well do during the course of the devaluation. It isn't about always losing your temper and going nuts with the narcissist. That doesn't necessarily mean that your super empath traits are coming to the fore. But instead, it is about exhibiting resilience, exhibiting a resistance, asserting your position, and then recognizing that it is time to jettison from this. The super empath will battle against the narcissist, but as a defensive response. It is not about deciding that they are going to go on and break the narcissist. That is not the behavior of a super empath. Of course, driven by high emotional thinking, that may cause them to consider taking such steps, but they are more likely to remove themselves from the toxic nature of the narcissist and then look again to defend themselves through their no-contact regime. They are not going to embark upon a crusade against the narcissist. Instead, when they are applying their logic with reduced emotional thinking, they know that to go on a crusade against the narcissist would not be effective. And instead, what must be done is to build that wall around them, to sit within the tower, to ensure that they are no longer being abused and that they have broken free from the chains that the narcissist has wrapped around them. The super empath is made of stern material and is more readily able to resist the negative behaviors that the narcissist engages in during devaluation. This doesn't lead to the narcissist being broken, but what it can lead to is the narcissist disengaging, because particular narcissists, the lower echelon ones, are not able to impact on the super empath in terms of the assertion of control. Fuel will still be provided. The super empath will not be able to govern their responses to such an extent as to avoid the provision of fuel. They may, of course, be able to dial down their provision of residual benefits, in effect by striking in terms of the provision of them. But what they are more readily able to do is to become more difficult to control. All narcissists are attracted to super empaths to begin with, because they are an empath. However, only certain narcissists are more able to control the super empath. Lower echelon narcissists struggle and therefore are more naturally inclined to choose different empaths to that of super. Of course, they would like to be able to control the super empath, but their narcissism is more discerning with regard to their selection and is more likely to choose, for instance, somebody that is a codependent majority rather than a majority super empath at the outset of the relationship. Once devaluation occurs, the super empath is more readily able to resist the controlling machinations of the narcissist. Of course, a higher echelon narcissist, a greater or the ultra, will enjoy and relish this challenge, an opportunity to flex the manipulative muscles, but mid-rangers and lessers are more likely to break off, as this would result in a disengagement trigger, in effect caused by either the super empath being too difficult to control, or, in effect, the narcissism recognises that the super empath is onto the narcissist, that has worked them out, and therefore the responses of the super empath have altered accordingly. But it is not the case that only a super empath can break a narcissist. Empaths invariably don't achieve this, because their addiction to the narcissist means that certain of their traits keep them locked into the dance with the narcissist. For example, trying to heal and fix the narcissist, to get to the truth of what has happened in the relationship, to be compassionate towards the failings of the narcissist that are being exhibited in the relationship, to show decency. And that doesn't mean breaking the narcissist. If it does occur, then any empath from the schools, in terms of the majority, whether majority super, majority contagion, majority standard, or majority codependent, has the potential to topple the narcissistic pillars as set out in my book Revenge, also known as The Assassin's Revenge. But few actually get to that point. The reason being that their natural empathy causes them to decide against taking that action when they have reduced their emotional thinking. Of course, a super empath is potentially more likely to be the type of empath that might move on to an assassin's revenge and topple those relevant pillars, but even they are likely to gravitate towards the no-contact revenge rather than seek out the assassin's revenge. And as I've explained, it's not the case that only a super empath can achieve the toppling of these pillars. All empaths have the potential to do it, but whether they will is another matter entirely. Ordinarily, they are unlikely to do so. The reason for this is that if they attempt to do this at a too early stage, their emotional thinking will be too high, and quite simply, they will fuck it up. The assassin's revenge will not be achieved, and it doesn't matter whether it's a super empath or a codependent empath. The attempt to impose the assassin's revenge on a narcissist where the emotional thinking remains too high because it's far too early in the start of the no-contact regime means that it will fail. Instead, what must be done is there must be a period of at least 6 months, total no contact, to reduce that emotional thinking down to the lowest level. And it is at that point, if, and it is a big if, the relevant empath still wishes to embark upon the assassin's revenge and topple the relevant pillars, then they are far more likely to be able to achieve it, because they will be doing it from distance, keeping their emotional thinking low, acting like a sniper, utilizing cool, hard logic. Moreover, the narcissist won't know where this is coming from, because there will have been a sufficient passage of time so that the narcissist will not immediately associate these behaviours with the relevant empath, and may well think that they are being targeted and attacked at distance from someone else. The problem is that if an empath attempts the assassin's revenge while they have just escaped or recently been disengaged from, their emotional thinking can only be in one place, extremely high, and the problem that they will then experience is they won't do it properly. They will get sucked back into a too close engagement with the narcissist, like hand-to-hand combat. Instead, the empath needs that total no-contact period of 6 months, and it doesn't matter which type of empath it is. All of them, if they do that, may, at the end of it, decide to embark upon an assassin's revenge, but many do not, because by that stage, the blood and thunder caused by their heightened emotional thinking has reduced, and they have no interest in that type of revenge. They are content with their no-contact revenge. So it is incorrect to state that only a super empath can break a narcissist, because invariably they do not. When it comes to toppling the pillars, most people don't achieve that, because they do not have the ability to do so, or they try and do it at too early in a stage with high emotional thinking and fail, or when they do reduce their emotional thinking, they are no longer interested in taking such a step. But if an empath wishes to do that at the end of that 6-month period, then it is not only the super empath that can do it, but codependent, majority contagion, or majority standard can also achieve it. The super empath's ability is more likely to cause disengagement compared to the other empathic victims. That isn't the fact that the narcissist becomes afraid of the super empath. That's nonsense. No, it's basically that the narcissist and the ones that will disengage are more likely to be lesser and mid-range, instinctively recognize that the empath is too difficult to control and thus disengage. The greater or the ultra will up the stakes. They will not disengage in such circumstances. Instead, they will double down on the control against the super empath. That might, of course, cause the super empath to look to escape. And it is part of the super empath's constitution that when they enter devaluation, they are more likely to resist the devaluing behavior, more likely to trigger disengagement, more likely to look to escape. They don't have the descent towards numbness and malfunction at the same pace as other empaths. They can still get there, but they are far less likely to hurtle towards numbness and malfunction like other majority categories of empath are. So, where somebody suggests that only a super empath can break a narcissist, they're wrong for a variety of reasons. And, once again, that misleading information has just been given the Tudor treatment. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.